Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. I know I am, and I love to see charts like this here. Taking a look at Bloktopiya here today. It's a request from one of my patrons, Frank. Thank you so much for requesting that I cover this here, of course. And if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, this is for educational purposes only. Just know I've been trading for a very long time, and my goal is to help you become a better, more effective trader. That's exactly the reason why I have a trading community and a signal group. Check that out in your own time. I send out signals for every single trade that I take, and we help you become a better trader, right? Period. That's just the way it works. Everyone's having a great experience. Check that out in your own time. Now, take a look here, of course, at Bitcoin. First things first, we're looking at the 4-hour chart. I typically look at the one-day chart, but I felt it was relevant to look at the 4-hour because we have a reverse head and shoulders pattern here for me. So likely, you see the two shoulders right here and right here. And then there's a breakout to the upside to test the resistance and break further. So I marked this and sent this to my community members just because I thought it was relevant to understand based on the fact that we have an open position right now. But more importantly, this support level here of 60,000 is holding pretty strong. It's done well in the past. Yes, it broke below, but that's pretty common. It couldn't go below 58,000. Then, of course, we have a potential break to the upside now. I think that's very likely just based on the fact that we did break through this descending wedge pattern that was forming previously, right? And those typically break out to the upside as they just did here recently. So we have a breakout from that, jumping right into a head and shoulders, and I think we're going to see a push to the resistance level, if nothing else, here in the very near future. So that's kind of the situation there. The only thing else we got to break, of course, is the fact that we're below the simple moving average on the 4-hour chart, so you can kind of see the prices just below that. So once we break that, it's home free on the home stretch. All right, so let's take a look here at Blok. It hasn't been in the market for a while. I think this is just only available on KuCoin, if I'm not mistaken. And it was October 6th was the ICO date, I believe, at least for this exchange. I could be wrong. It might be on some other exchange, but this is the only one available here, on USDT. Okay, so we're just going to focus on that. That being said, with where the price is at going from right now, it was obviously very, very low, practically a zero, and now it's upwards of about 15.6 cents. So whomever got in right back here is up somewhere in the range of about 1,200%. Kudos to you if you got in on the ICO date. Very well done. I hope that's you, Frank, because that'd be awesome. Needless to say, let's go ahead and move on and take a look at the smaller time frame. So we don't have any moving averages to rely on. Honestly, the RSI and MACD are pretty much irrelevant. So we can't do much there. The most that we can do in scenarios like this where coins are so new, and that's why I don't usually love to cover them, is just based on the fact there's not enough data to really base an educated decision on. All we can really do is kind of speculate based on Fibonacci retracement lines and help understand kind of what that potential might look like. So we can jump into that here. Looking at the 4-hour though, we do actually have this 50-day simple moving average. We have enough data for that. And obviously it's moving upwards with the price. That's pretty standard. So let's go ahead and take a quick peek here. Let's just go ahead and pull up some of these lines here and see what we're dealing with. So Fibonacci retracement. We've got a nice couple of support and resistance levels. So we'll go ahead and look right there. Obviously got the resistance up here. And I like to see this here as well, actually, because 0.786 on Fibonacci is a pretty common resistance level. So we can break past that, we'll be in pretty good shape. But these are the most relevant support levels that we can draw. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. I basically picked the most dominant Fibonacci retracement lines, just so you understand that. And also, too, obviously you can see that the price is kind of testing some of these levels as well. So let's take a quick look here. So on the 1 hour, we can see that the price kind of rejected out somewhere around 1437, kind of stayed there, but then it had this little ascending pattern that broke to the upside. Sorry, I have a terrible time drawing straight lines with the mouse. Anyways, there's a nice straight line for you. Anyways, we see the nice ascending wedge pattern, right? See that little break to the upside, just shot right straight through the resistance. And then of course it got stopped out here. And now it's kind of retracing and bouncing off of 1430. So I think 1430 is a very, very good number. In other words, 14 cents, 14.3 cents is effectively a nice strong support. So we should see a continuation to the upside. There might even be another ascending pattern here soon, but there's not much data here to really rely on. So it's hard to say specifically where it's going to go next. But here's what we can do. We can pull a Fibonacci retracement back up and then kind of speculate on the future lines and kind of see where it could go next if it continues to progress upwards, right? Because there's a strong chance it will continue just based on its momentum. It's doing very well, regardless of how well Bitcoin is doing or how sideways Bitcoin is doing, for lack of better terms. This one just keeps taking off. So it's a very good sign, goes to show that it's probably undervalued and that there's probably a big picture there, of course, Obviously, again, do your own research. I don't know the research on this myself personally, just strictly technical data here today. But there's a strong chance that there's a good fundamental catalyst, something that's causing the price action to increase. It's probably just a really good quality coin. You typically see that with when coins increase this quick after ICO, right? That being said, let's just go ahead and summarize here. We're looking at 26.6 cents as a potential high point if we were to see this next leg up, right? So in other words, say the price were to kind of consolidate in between here, then eventually come back up. We would be looking at that being more so the high point on the short term. That doesn't mean that big picture, that's its only potential. It could definitely go much further than that. But right now with no previous data, all we can really do is kind of speculate that it'll probably be somewhere in the range of, just say round number, 27 cents within the next 2 to 4 weeks. That's probably a likelihood just based on its continuation and how well it's doing. It has healthy periods of consolidation too. So take a look at this. If you see these, and this is what I like to look at. So you got the price come up and it goes sideways, up, sideways, up. Now even coming back down, right? So it's actually very healthy that it's coming down, because then it'll give a much better chance to leg up, right? Because we saw that with Bitcoin here recently, right? It went from 40,000 to 67,000 in like 3 weeks. That amount of increase has to correct itself. That's why we see these bull flag patterns, or the descending wedge patterns that are kind of breaking out, based on the simple fact that the price is going to have to continue going up. It's like just according to the 4-year cycle. If you know anything about that, check out my other video on that, of course, if you don't. But generally speaking, every 4 years, Bitcoin goes on a tear, and it's always October, November, December, and it's been pretty much following that almost to a T. It's a trippy thing. But what's going to happen next is coins like these will continue to increase, these low cap coins, and they're eventually going to take off. This one's taken off early. It could even spike up even further. Again, it's really hard to say. It's so early on. It's just like, again, pure speculation. But generally speaking, at this moment, based on what I see here so far, I think it's a strong likelihood we will see a continuation to the upside based on how healthy these increases are, because you always want to look for a staircase pattern for a good, healthy bull run. Like, I don't know if you remember BNB back in, was it May, right after the Bitcoin sell-off? Like, that thing went from like 250 to 600, and it did the same exact thing every single day for a full like 3 weeks. And then it just out of nowhere, it's like, okay, BNB's here to stay, right? And it's just one of those cool things. I think this is going to probably be one of those. Not saying this is the next BNB, but I think you get what I'm saying. So anyways, big picture, I would say I think we looked at 27 cents as a strong potential for November. December, January, February, I would say probably even higher, but we'll have to reevaluate this again closer to that time frame after it's made its increases, after it's consolidated and done its thing, essentially, because it's still too early to tell. When you have less than a month's worth of data, it's very difficult to anticipate, because you don't have any previous highs, you don't have any anything to really truly rely on except for the fact that it's healthy. This is a very healthy pattern, and I like what I see here so far from Blok. So what I'm considering doing here is, if the price were to come back down and consolidate closer to 14.3, I'm going to set some alerts, and we'll make sure that we'll do 14.4. Just to kind of make sure that we see if the price comes back down there, we get that bounce, then I'd maybe consider opening a position here to the upside, because this does have really good, healthy, again, continuation patterns. I like what I see here. So anyways, hope you find benefit. If you do, great, like, subscribe, join my Patreon community. Hopefully we can get to know you better, and obviously help you with just becoming a better trader, right? We could all use that improvement, and I can assure you you'll be in very good hands. So thanks again so much for your time, and Frank, appreciate you recommending I cover this here today. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. Take care.